BAM football for another week. Steve Allen's still out injured. The physio's told him to take an extra week off just to make sure he's good to go next week. So once again, I'm in the host chair, boys. My name is Warwick Whitmore, aka The Wok, joined as always by Laurie McKinnon, Michael Butner. Boys, let's get stuck straight in. Buttes, the test match this Saturday, Australia versus New Zealand in the Rugby League. No surprises in that Australian lineup, really?
No, not at all. You know, you could almost pick the Australian side based on, you know, the current form and availability of players. There have been a few injuries, players not being available. But in the main, you know, I'm extremely confident in the Australian side based on the fact that anytime you've got the likes of Cameron Smith, Cooper Cronk, Jonathan Thurston and Billy Slater, you're in pretty good shape.
Obviously a lot of publicity over the past couple of weeks about Tim Sheens and him leaving the head coaching role at the Tigers. Is he potentially coaching for his life in the Australian team this week?
Oh, look, I think it's probably similar, the Australian role now. It could well be similar to that of the Origin side. We've seen it now in the last few years, especially with the Queenslanders who have done it for the last 7 or 8 years, with Mal Meninga being just focused on the Origin role. And I think likewise this can be considered for the Australian job, where Tim Sheens just purely and simply focuses on the Australian role. There is a World Cup coming up at the end of 2013, so it's probably actually a good time for this transition to actually take place, Laurie. And you know, being a former coach yourself, I think there's also that, you know, trying to get that balance between your club duties and your responsibilities to the representative side.
I think just watching from the outside, when the State of Origins time comes round, I just don't know how they actually juggle it. Because it's full on at the club, full on at State of Origin, more so State of Origin, and juggling that is very hard, I think. Well,
Australia's lost the last World Cup and 4 nations, so obviously they want to do very well in those tournaments, and as you said, appointing a full-time coach to that role will certainly benefit them. Let's talk about the Bulldogs, still in the media, I guess for the wrong reasons, you could quite easily say, the Mad Monday debacle and what's happened there. What are your thoughts on the media actually attending Mad Mondays?
Oh, look, I think I might have said it last week. I think the Bulldogs did everything right except have the media there for too long. I think you've got to create a little window for the media to get their grab on the players. You know, there's this balance between how much do we need to see of this Mad Monday and when can the players actually let their hair down.
And at the Mariners, we actually did that for many years. It was usually 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Press can come on the bus, they come see the guys, and then they leave. And they're respectful, they've got what they want, and they go home and just respect the players' privacy. The boys have been in the spotlight for the full season, and they just want to let their hair down, have a laugh with their mates, and just have a good day.
And just on that, well, I'm not here to condone what was said at that time, because, you know, I just honestly believe it was way over the top. But again, you know, just let them have their time. You know, they've earned the right to have a drink on their own and enjoy each other's company.
A recent tragedy in rugby league. It's hit the Central Coast rugby league community very hard. Jason Anir, who are now hearing reports of losing his life after the Manly Seagulls presentation. A Central Coast junior with the Berkeley Vale Panthers. His father Craig is very involved with that club, and Jason had progressed through the Manly Harold Matthews SG Ball Toyota Cup and was now on an NRL contract. Obviously thoughts with the family at this time, Views?
Oh, most definitely. You know, any time somebody loses a child in those circumstances is obviously heartbreaking and a terrible situation, and, you know, to be part of the rugby league community, I know that plenty of people will be behind him and supporting him, so our condolences certainly do go out to the family and of course the club and friends and teammates.
Our BAM teams of the week. I've got the Crusaders polo on this week, the Central Coast Crusaders basketball team, a great side. They'll be looking for a big season next year, and of course the Kings back in action at what is now the Crown Kingdom, with Crown coming on board and sponsoring the Kings. But I've got the Crusaders polo this week.
And I've got the Australian Kangaroos heritage jersey, obviously with the test match on this weekend. I thought I'd get in the mood for a little bit of rugby league action, test match action.
And I've got the Yellow Army Tour of China shirt on, because 5 of the guys came and stayed with me in China, but just congratulations to the Yellow Army at the weekend, running 3 or 4 buses down to Western Sydney, and the Mariners taking probably 400 or 500 fans down there, so I'm supporting you guys because you support us.
Let's now move on to soccer. Laurie, the EPL, a couple of big wins for Chelsea and also Man City.
Yeah, Chelsea's up there and they've got a big game this weekend against Spurs. Spurs have won the last 3, so they've got a big clash this week. Man City they hit that flat spot a few weeks ago. They never won in 4 games. They've started kicking in and getting that momentum going. Man United, a great 3-0 win away at Newcastle, which is a big win because Pardew just signed a new 8-year contract and he's sitting mid-table now, so I think he's sitting smoking cigars at the moment.
Who signs 8-year contracts? How good is he doing?
He's loving it.
He's loving it, you bet he is.
And we had the El Clasico recently played, Barcelona versus Real Madrid. Did you catch much of that one, Laurie?
Nah, all the things happening in the A-League and the EPL at weekend, I never am having my mother here for Scotland. I actually missed that one.
Well, it finished in a 2-2 draw. Messi scored both goals for Barcelona and Ronaldo scoring 2 goals for Real. The big debate now is who's the best.
Why don't we just put them on the field together
Yeah, did
against
anybody
each
else
other?
turn up?
Yeah.
I actually saw the goal celebrations for Ronaldo, and I know he's been in a huff for the last few weeks. There have been some issues going on at Real Madrid that he's not been happy with something. He's been scoring and his celebration is basically walking away, so there's some issues over there at the moment. Maybe because Messi was getting more publicity than him. But.
Well, let's talk domestic league. The A-League kicked off round 1 over the weekend. The Mariners a 0-0 draw with Western Sydney Wanderers. Del Piero making his debut for Sydney. How did you see the round?
Our round was great. Like record crowds, we spoke about it off camera. You know, they got close to 100,000. Average at 18,500, and the A-League needed, we spoke about it a few weeks ago, needed to be positive. It's been a positive start. Obviously, Del Piero, Heskey and Ono coming in have gave the game a big lift as well in the media, and not just for soccer fans, fans in general. But none of them won at the weekend, you know, so Wellington put the damper on the party for Sydney, 2-0 over there, convincing 2-0, although Del Piero did do well. I heard some of his comments this morning on Fox, and he says that it'll take him 10 to 15 games to have an opinion on the A-League. But one comment he made this morning, players need to slow down a little bit. I saw some of his little jinks and magic at the weekend. He looked like he was in slow motion, but he was just nice and easy. But no, it was a good round and some really tight tussles.
Central Coast did play Western Sydney Wanderers, as we just mentioned. Western Sydney Wanderers, a new club, and Central Coast probably known in the league for having one of the best cultures, and that's what Western Sydney are now trying to develop, I guess.
Yeah, they need to get in the community out there, and to be fair, there were 10,500. I thought it was a reasonable crowd for the night it was. A lot of red and black. You know, should have looked good out there.
Yeah, would have looked good. I loved it. And also the fact that the Wanderers actually had several opportunities to score.
The Mariners were the dominant team, but through little mistakes the Mariners made, the Wanderers had the better chances in the game. Matt Ryan had 3 good one-on-one saves. So, you know, Tony Popovich would be happy his first out. Arnie was happy away from home. You get a draw opening game. We had a great support down there. The Mariners taking a huge support down there, which was brilliant. And the atmosphere of the game was really good. The Western Sydney fans did a great job.
And Matt Ryan obviously has just kicked off his season where he left it last year. Just an outstanding form again.
His 1-on-1, John Crawley does an amazing job. His 1-on-1 shot stopping's second to none. And it was a good game, an exciting game. Chances, as the game went on, the Mariners got on top. But, you know, just 0-0 draw, probably fair result.
Laurie, round 2 of the A-League, we've got Sydney taking on Newcastle, which will match up Del Piero and Heskey, and also the Mariners wearing pink.
Yeah, first game at home, Blue Tongue Mangara clubs came on board as in the Cancer Council. You know, it's their game, so we'll be the first. NRL's done it for many years, but we will be fully pink, and the strip actually looks. I'm a bit of a pink guy myself, so.
Not that you're very comfortable with your
very comfortable. But you know, it's a big game for us. A home game. Perth had a great result against knocking Brisbane off in the last 4 minutes of the game, and big Mehmet scoring a great head in the last few minutes after coming on a sub. But huge game for us at the weekend. You want a big turnout. Support breast cancer. Cancer affects most people. On the coast, everybody's lost people, so it's a great cause. And then Sydney FC and Heskey, you know, they're expecting a huge crowd down at Sydney. So Del Piero will be wanting to get on the score sheet. I'm sure Heskey probably rushed in a bit early, 3 o'clock kickoff, hot day, probably wasn't the best conditions to suit a big guy, just come out for overseas. So I think there's still more to come in the marquee challenge at the weekend.
Our BAM moments of the week. Butts, why don't you lead us off?
Look, we've just finished talking about the V8s. I'm going to go with the Holden boys, Jamie Winkup, well done, bro. Well done to you boys. That is my BAM moment of the week.
And my BAM moment of the week is the Melbourne victory and Melbourne Heart game. 42,000 people in Melbourne. Great start to the A-League. Melbourne again sets the standards for the A-League in crowds, so My BAM moment of the week is to the Melbourne football public. Well done.
This week, my BAM moment goes to the Southern Stars, the Australian women's cricket team. They won the final of the World T20. So carrying the Aussie flag, of course, our men bundled out in the semi. Also, congratulations to the West Indies for winning the men's tournament. But the Southern Stars, BAM! Well, that's BAM football for another week. Steve Allen will be back in the host chair next week.
Maybe.
Well, as people who speak to your people, what?
We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, you can stay in touch with us at bamfootball.tv, also on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.